So if you want to take out that gun and badge, I'm happy to scrap with you one day. You want to do it, let's do it. Let me know, buddy.
That is not a crime, and you're telling me to get out of my vehicle.
Broken arm! Broken arm! Broken arm!
If you didn't know, I went to the police academy and they kicked me out.
That's my purse! I don't know you!
Spit me on my face right now! She spit in my face!
Today's video takes us to Sheridan, Colorado, where we find a Frauditor who loves to push the envelope. Today he's standing in front of a speed camera so the speed camera can't operate properly. Oh, something is wrong with this guy. There really is. When you say a few cans short of a six-pack, it doesn't really describe his mental state. Enjoy!
Hey guys, Denver Metro Audits. Look what I found. I found the speed trap van. We're over here off Federal. Just not too far from where we were last time, here in Sheridan. And it's actually not the same lady. I've seen her around a bunch, but it's actually the guy that does this too, so. Let's go stand on a public sidewalk right here. See what happens.
This is the idiot behind the camera. I don't like him one bit. He is a crybaby about everything. Now, he's no stranger to the criminal justice system. By his own admission, he spent time in a juvie lockup and he spent time as an adult in jail. So he's no stranger to the inside of an 8x8. He needs to go back there for sure.
He's waving. So just stand right here. That's the camera right there. Here's the camera.
Hey, you're in the way of the camera.
Oh, this guy's yelling at me. This guy's yelling at me, waving. Says I'm in the way of the camera, but this is public sidewalk. Come on, see? Public sidewalk. So I can stand here. Doesn't matter if I'm in the way of his camera.
Oh yes, indeed. A sidewalk is for walking. It sets pedestrians apart from the traffic so they remain safe as they traverse from one point to the other. It's not for standing about. Oh, I can't stand this guy. And nobody else can either. Here he's being kicked out of the Denver Metro transportation. Oh, he's an idiot.
Trying to take pictures. So. What's that?
You're in the way of the camera. You can't do that. You can take pictures all day long.
I can't?
You just
I can't do that?
You just can't be in front of the camera, okay?
Is that a law?
Yeah, you're blocking this.
No, but what's the law that says?
I'll tell you again, then I call the cops.
Yeah, go ahead, call the cops, man. Alright, so I guess he's gonna call the cops. Let's see what happens.
You see, that's what I don't like about this guy, as well as all the other frauditors. They do all this nonsense under the guise of the First Amendment. Now, years ago, when these guys first came out, it was about the First Amendment, and they held government officials accountable. But this isn't a government official that you need to hold accountable. You're simply blocking the man from doing his job. What the hell is wrong with this kid? Oh, he's a punk. But you know what? He's not a kid. He's about 40 years old. He should know better.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Okay, good. So, again, I'm Officer Williams with the Sheridan Police Department. You can film all you want. But you can't block this guy from doing his job. He's pointing this way. You can film him on the other side, but you're obstructing his job so he can monitor traffic.
Sir, I'm on a public sidewalk here.
I know.
I can stand anywhere I want on a public sidewalk, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I know you're a First Amendment auditor. I deal with you guys enough.
First Amendment auditor?
Or whatever you are.
What's that?
Okay? Whatever you are. But you're blocking this guy from doing his job.
I'm allowed to stand on a public sidewalk, sir.
Right, but you're blocking his...
It doesn't matter.
Now the moron wants to play stupid. First Amendment auditor? What's that? You know damn well what it is, sweetheart. How many people think this kid needs a smackdown? Although he's not a kid, but he acts like one, doesn't he? I vote we give him a smackdown.
Can he do his job?
Can move. Doesn't matter.
Can he do his job?
Doesn't matter if he can do his job or not, sir. This is a public sidewalk. I'm allowed to stand on a public sidewalk.
Right,
I can stand here all day I want. Doesn't matter if that guy's there or not. Okay. You already know. You said you know what I'm doing, so you should know better then.
But you're still blocking his job. You're still blocking.
Am I breaking the law?
Yeah, you're breaking the law.
Okay,
He's trying
which
to do
law?
his job.
Can you tell me which law? What law?
He got a sign up that said he got a radar sign up letting people know that he's here. Okay. And can you move to the back of his van and do your job?
I'm going to stand right here, sir.
All right.
This is a public sidewalk. I'm allowed to stand on a public sidewalk.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
But you said I'm breaking the law. I'm not breaking the law.
231.
It should be apparent to most people that are watching something horribly wrong with this guy. Whoa, something's missing in his life. What's wrong with him? Look at him. Look into his eyes. Oh, no, don't do that. Anyway, something happened when you were a child. Mommy and Daddy didn't pay enough attention to you, Junior. What happened? We're going to have to skip through this high-quality content until the next officer arrives, because he just goes back and forth with this guy for the next 10 minutes.
10 minutes later.
Can you give me a little space here? Just a little space so I can talk to this guy without him having to worry about you recording everything he's saying? Excuse me.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have. We're in public. He doesn't have any expectation of privacy in public, right?
I'm just asking you as a polite person.
I appreciate you asking. I appreciate you asking politely, but I don't have to. So I'm going to decline that.
Sit in the front seat.
What's that?
Sit in the front seat.
I'm going to go right.
There you go. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
This punk has a cocky attitude and a smart mouth and a chip on his shoulder that somebody's going to knock off, and he's not going to get back up for a while. Huh? You mark my words. Mark my words on that.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Here you go. This is me.
Yes, sir. See, I heard what you were saying. So if you need me to stay off of an area that's open to the public, you need to put some tape up.
So we're not saying you can't pass through the area, but if you're going to stand and impede him, that's the issue, right?
I understand.
Passing through is an issue.
And like I said, you have to put some tape up.
Using the conveyance isn't an issue. He's got signs posted saying that there is a van in operation, so you know he's in operation.
But there's no sign that says I can't stand on any area of this public sidewalk for as long as I want.
That you're standing in the way. He gave you warnings. He told you were in the way. He told you what you were doing.
Pardon me, Sergeant, but none of this matters to a narcissistic sociopath. They are the center of the universe. They don't care what you have to say, or anyone else for that matter.
Right now, we're just asking you, please do not stand and block the camera from doing its job. That's all. It's not a lot to ask.
It's not a lawful order, though. I can stand anywhere on a public sidewalk. If you want me to not stand here, you have to put some tape up. That's the law.
Where it does become an issue is if you're intentionally impeding and interfering with government operations.
Well, I'm not intentionally doing anything. I'm standing on a public sidewalk.
If you've been asked to move and told that you're interfering with government operation and you refuse to move, that is interfering with government operation. Whether we have tape up everywhere or not.
We have to put tape up, sir.
No, we don't.
How many people watching out there would love to put some tape over this frauditor's mouth? As a matter of fact, wrap him up like a mummy and roll him down the hill into traffic. Oh, maybe that's a little bit too extreme. Well, we'll just wrap him up in tape.
Just like right now, I could tell you that if we were doing something here and I told you that you had to move along because you're impeding our operation, you'd have to move at that point, right?
You'd have to put tape up.
I don't have to have the tape up to tell you to move.
You'd have to put tape up, sir.
I don't have to put tape up. We're not going to get into an argument about it, okay? I'm just letting you know right now. If you continue to intentionally interfere with the van's operations, that's interference and obstruction of the government operation, and that's an issue. If you want to be on the sidewalk and stay out of its range, that's fine. If you want to pass through as a conveyance using the sidewalk, that's fine too. We're not saying you can't use the sidewalk. We're just saying don't intentionally interfere with the van doing its job.
You see how nice the police officer's trying to be to this moron? He's doing his best not to arrest him. But this moron doesn't care. He wants to go hands-on, like in this picture right here, when the security guard gave him an assist to leave the building. That's what he wants, and then he can file a complaint and a lawsuit. Oh, look at that fancy camera. Does your mama know you spent your allowance on that camera, boy?
I'm saying I'm not intentionally doing anything, but if I want to stand right here and do my story on this speed trap here, I'm allowed to do that. If I'm inadvertently blocking his camera, that's not my intention, but I'm allowed to be on a public sidewalk, sir. That's the bottom line.
You are allowed to be on a public sidewalk. You are not allowed to interfere with his operation. That's
and I'm not interfering.
If he's got multiple photographs of you blocking the camera, and then he also has advised you multiple times you're blocking the camera, and you continue to do so, then you're intentionally doing it at that point. You can't say you're inadvertently doing it when you're aware of what you're doing.
Again, sir, you have to put some tape up then.
We don't have to do that, man.
So what's going to happen then if I continue to stand here?
I love this question because it pushes the envelope and makes the officer respond. Oh, well, if I'm not going to get arrested, I'm going to stay. You remember that time you got a smackdown because you ran your smart mouth to that couple on the street and then they broke your gimbal? Oh, the poor baby boy had his gimbal broken. I never had a broken gimbal. It must be terrible.
You'll be cited with obstruction if you continue to interfere with his operation. Now, if standing here is a different story. If you're passing through, using the conveyance, all that, that's on you. That's fine. You just can't interfere with what he's doing. That's the only deal. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense, sir, because you're threatening me to cite me or arrest me for a lawful activity. There's no law that says that I can't stand on a public sidewalk, sir.
There is a ordinance that says you cannot interfere with government operations.
Yeah, I understand that, but the thing is that he chose to set up right here on a public sidewalk on public property.
Yes, he chose to set up on public property, and he doesn't have to move either. Hey, do you remember that time that you audited the post office and that woman didn't like it too much and you said she assaulted you? She barely touched you. Oh, you're just a little sissy boy, aren't you? Look how cute looking that picture with your little hat and her mask on. Oh, I bet your mommy's so proud of you.
So if I want to stand right here, if I want to stand right there, I'm allowed to do that. If that's obstruction, that's on you guys. You guys need to figure out a different place to go then. But you can't restrict a public sidewalk for me to stand right there.
He's not blocking the sidewalk. He's off on the pad on the side.
No, but you can't tell a citizen that they can't stand on a public sidewalk.
I can tell you can't interfere with our operations.
Yeah, but if I'm inadvertently interfering, that's not a crime.
Well, let me ask
you have to move the speed trap.
Let me ask you this: why are you standing here on this public sidewalk?
Because I'm doing a story.
Okay, story on what?
Well, it's not published yet, so I'm not going to give out any information.
Yes, indeed, Sergeant. He can't tell you about his story. It's top secret. It's confidential. If he were to tell you, then you'd know he were a frauditor and you'd make him leave.
So why are you here? You doing a story?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're intentionally standing here, correct? It's not inadvertent. It's not an accident that you're here. You're here on purpose?
Oh, I'm here on purpose, yeah.
Okay, great. You're here on purpose with the intent to interfere with what he's doing?
No.
Then what are you here for?
I'm here to do a story on this speed trap here.
Okay. So you're intentionally here to be in his way?
No, I'm not intentionally here to be in his way.
Then great. then don't be in his way. Do your story so he can still continue his operation. And there's no problem.
That sounds like a great solution, Sergeant, but not for this idiot. Because you can't trespass his eyes. If you trespass him, he'll just stand somewhere else in the way. What can I tell you? I don't know what to say. These are idiots. These are full-blown idiots.
As long you can stand anywhere out here as long as you're not interfering with his operation, not interfering with public transit, all that kind of stuff. You can stand out here and do that. I'm not saying you can't film him. I'm not saying you can't film us. I'm just saying you can't interfere with what he's doing. That's all. That's not even asking a lot.
Seems like we're kind of going around in circles here. So
circles on what?
Well, I mean, you keep explaining yourself over and over, and I keep explaining myself over and over. So I understand that obstruction is a crime, but obstruction, if you can't turn a public sidewalk into a restricted area unless you put tape up.
If I were that sergeant, I'd be ready to blow a gasket because he's been so patient with this moron. And this is not the first time he's done this. This is the third time that I've seen him do it. Oh, there's something really wrong with this moron. There really is. He's got well, I can't say that, but he does not like police in the least. Oh, he hates police. But I bet you if your mama needed some police assistance, you'd call 911, wouldn't you, Frauditor? You little punk.
That's the law. The law itself is an order. It's not me making anything new up. I'm not giving you any extra things. I'm just saying you can't violate the law.
Yeah.
So don't violate the law.
I'm not violating the law. You're trying to manipulate the situation and to make it so that I'm violating the law, but I'm not actually violating the law.
You're talking in circles now, trying to make yourself sound better.
We've been talking in circles. I've been saying that for
No, you're
5
talking
minutes.
in circles.
So are you.
I've explained
so
this
I said
repeatedly.
we're not going anywhere.
Okay. Is there anything else I can do for you today?
I mean, you haven't done anything for me. I never needed you guys.
You've been warned about interfering with government instructions. That's it. You've been warned. Do we need to go beyond that?
Well, I'm going to exercise my First Amendment right, and I'm going to stand wherever I want to stand on a public sidewalk.
Again, this stems from the time when he was about 8 years old and nobody really disciplined him. Nobody watched over him. I'm not going to say it's his mother's fault, his father's fault, his grandmother's fault, whoever raised him. It's not their fault. They probably had to work, and they worked more than one job to support him, and they just didn't have enough time to spend with him. And this is the result. He's still an 8-year-old brat, but he's in a man's body. That's where we get the term man-child.
As long as you don't interfere with his operations,
then you guys need to move then. If I'm interfering, you guys need to move your operation somewhere else.
No, that's not how this works.
That's how it works.
Tell you what, we're gonna leave. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to do your thing and not interfere with this operation. Stand, do your story, whatever you want to do, okay? Just don't interfere with this operation. That's all.
I'm going to stand wherever I want to stand.
As long as you don't interfere with government operations.
And that's not, if I'm on a public sidewalk, I can stand wherever I want.
Well, folks, there you have it. That's where I'm going to end it because the video did continue for about another 10 minutes after the sergeant had a word with the speed enforcement officer. After the police left, the idiot stood right there in front of the camera and wouldn't move. So eventually the speed enforcement officer packed it up and left. I guess he felt empowered that day. And that's what's wrong with this guy. The police cut him slack. They give him a break every time they get called out. And the more he gets away with, the more bold he thinks he can become. Now, I'm big and bad and nobody can stop me. Send this moron an email. His email address is right there at the top in yellow. denvermetroaudits@gmail.com. Let him know that he needs to get a real job, and his 22,000 subscribers are a bunch of morons as well. Of course, he has 22,000 subscribers, but it doesn't translate into a lot of views. He's not making any money at this, so mommy must still be giving him an allowance. If you enjoy watching idiots, imbeciles, and morons on my channel, please subscribe. As always, thanks so much for stopping by. Cheers to that.